Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream today, the training on how to get the devotion you desire without loneliness or frustration, and really how to create the love, the relationship that you want, and really the life that you want in all areas, but especially with attracting a man and having a great time with him, a great connection, and a great lasting devotion. So, in case you don't know me already, my name is Brody Boyd, and together with my wife, Antia, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get a loving, long term, and committed relationship with the man they want. And of course, I'm a love expert with Magnetize Your Man. And today's training is going to be interesting because I'm going to be answering some questions today. And I'm also going to be doing more of a spiritual training, even to help you to have the life that you want. And it's going to go deeper into the spiritual elements more so than I typically do. So buckle your seatbelts for that because this could be a life changing lesson for you. And this is something I've learned over the last couple decades, really, of refining my process and my practice, both for my relationship and my marriage, and also when I was dating, when I was single, and in my business life, my career, and my family life, and so many other areas. So, this principle is really about how, and the key to getting what you want in these areas is how do you split your focus? How do you split your focus in life? I used to go and be part of the mindset that life was all about trusting your feelings, trusting your intuition, doing what felt good to you. I actually learned this partly from my dad. I remember when I was a little kid, one evening at my grandma's house, and my dad was talking to some other members of the family, and he said something that stuck with me. He said, in life, I just do what feels good. I do what feels good to me, and that's worked out for me. I'm paraphrasing what exactly he said, but that was the message that I got from it was, oh, just do what feels good. Trust your feelings. And later in life, I kind of tucked that away in my mind. But then later in life, I went through this documentary called The Secret that many of you have probably heard of. And there's a book associated with that as well. And they talked about the law of attraction. And I learned spiritual principles around manifestation, drawing in what you want. And one of the big principles within that process is to trust your feelings, to trust your emotional guidance system. As Joseph Campbell said, follow your bliss. And that was a powerful realization for me that there was more truth than I thought potentially to this wisdom that my dad had told me when I was younger. He wasn't even telling me specifically, but I overheard him saying it, that the purpose of life is to follow your feelings, to trust your feelings and to trust your intuition. And that's a great path for living a great life. And so I did that for a while. And what I found though, however, is that I would start going through phases of things would be really good, but then things would be kind of crappy. And I would try to feel my way out of it, but it wasn't always working. And that's where I started learning more and reading other books and learning psychology. And I got my degree in communications and interpersonal relationships because I knew there was more to it than just trusting your feelings, because a fish doesn't know that it's wet. And oftentimes we need other principles outside of us to give us a clue, to give us some insight into how to live well. There's a lot of wisdom in the Bible on how to live well. And there's a lot of wisdom in great science books, psychology books, biology. I learned a lot about biology. I actually wanted to be a biotechnologist for a while until I switched into communications and interpersonal relationships because I realized that my life mission was more focused in those areas. And so then I started to actually embrace that world. Oh, actually, rather than just following my feelings, I should create structure in my life. I should have principles that I follow. I should have set routines. I should have systems. I should automate things. I should have a battle plan for my life. I should have a blueprint that I'm following, not just trusting my feelings, but I should have some structure and some strategy around that as well. And things started to go well for a while, but then I started noticing that I was getting burnt out. I wasn't getting the motivation I desired to actually follow the structure that I had put in place from the principles that I had learned around relationships and around dating. And so then I'm like, well, now what? Now what? Which do I follow? Do I follow my feelings and my intuition, or do I follow structures and principles and rules from my life? You know, there's that great dating book called The Rules that actually is very adamant in that you should follow rules, you should follow structure. Of course, religious practice and the Bible is very set on rules. And there's a lot of value to that. And I teach a lot of rules and teach a lot of principles. And I don't even call them rules, but techniques and strategies for you to follow to succeed in your relationship, to succeed with men, to succeed in love. However, there's not a lot of juice behind following the rules often. That's what was happening for me. And as a matter of fact, I went through a process for myself recently, and this has happened several times in my life, where I get burnout. I lose the motivation. I lose that secret sauce that's behind my energy to be able to implement the rules properly, because I'm now shutting away that other part of my life that is the intuition, that is the feelings, that is the flow, you might say. And so then I came to this phase in my life where what I basically decided was I was going to do 50-50. I was going to follow the rules. I was going to follow my intuition and my feelings half the time. And then the other half of the time, or combine, 50-50 mixing of these two. The other half was going to be set on principles and structures and routines, etc., to get what I wanted. However, like I said, like I just mentioned, even with that, even when I'm trying to balance both of them, I was losing motivation. I was losing energy. It wasn't enough to actually keep me consistently being able to break through different levels of growth and improvement in my life, in my business, in my relationships, in my family. And then I finally came to this realization recently that the secret to the universe is combining both, but with a slight caveat. So that's what I'm going to teach you today, is that there's a slight tweak here that will change everything for you. And I know it's improved a lot for me in my life, which is 51% of your time, of your energy, of your process should actually be spent on trusting your intuition. And this is true for relationships. This is true for dating. This is true for your life, your spiritual practice. If you're a Christian, you believe there's a Holy Spirit, that a Holy Spirit can guide you. And that's going to help you a lot of the time. It's going to help you for many situations, to pray, to ask God, to talk to God, to listen to a higher source of wisdom within yourself, to follow those little intuitive nudges, but not to do it all the time, because there's a whole nother world as well that will provide value to you, which is the structure and the routine. Again, if you're a Christian, you also have sets of rules. You have the 10 Commandments, for example. If you are following the principles that we teach you with polarity, we have feminine communication principles. We have structure around how to interact with a man, how to communicate your needs properly, how to communicate your desires properly. However, you have to have 51% of your process. It has to be listening to your intuition. Now, the reason why is because if you don't, you're going to burn out. You're going to fall into a hole, like I have several times in my life, where you will still lose the juice. You will still find yourself in a place of crashing, of being exhausted, of not knowing what to do next, of getting stuck. And so you can't do a 50-50 balance. You have to have your intuition and your feelings be slightly more powerful, or your guidance from the Holy Spirit, your guidance from God. It has to be slightly above following the rules, because otherwise you're losing the life force and you're not going to be able to apply the rules. So again, we have 51% trusting your intuition. Now the 49% should be following the structure. This is going to allow you to have the energy to be able to follow the structure properly, have the intuitive guidance to be able to follow the structure properly and follow through with that. Because otherwise, you're likely going to burn out at some point, because you're going to lose connection to yourself. Your life force is coming from this 51%. Your intuitive power as a woman, or as a man if you're watching this video, likely not. But your intuitive power, your feminine power, is going to come from that connection to your heart, to your emotional guidance system, to your emotional wisdom and your intuitive wisdom, and potentially your guidance, if you're connected enough, from the Holy Spirit, from God, from higher sources. And that's going to allow you to fulfill the rest of the process of everything you're learning with us, with me, with other books you may be reading, other videos you've watched, other powerful principles and technology, tactics, techniques you've gotten in relationships, in dating, in life, with psychology, with your business, perhaps with your career. There are certain rules and structures you will need to follow, but to be able to follow those properly, you're still going to need to primarily give the power to your heart, to your intuition. And that's going to allow you to have a perfect balance where your intuition is still leading. It is the final decision maker. However, you are still going to be implementing powerful technology and powerful tools that you get from me, from our teachings here, that will allow you to have the best life possible. You'll get the best of both worlds. Just like if you're a Christian, you're following your guidance from God and the Holy Spirit, but you're also following wisdom from the Bible. You're following guidelines like the 10 Commandments. You're following those rules. And you're doing both. You're combining both so that you're a whole person with the lead of your heart. Your heart is going first. Your heart is moving you in the direction of your dreams, of your desires. And then the structure is allowing you to put that, implement that in a way that's powerful, that doesn't allow you to fall off the rails, to do something that you'll regret, or to do something that will actually destroy your relationship potentially. Because if you were just following your feelings all the time, you may get lost. You may end up in the woods, uncertain of what to do next. You're not going to know how to properly implement things. Like, for example, I'll give you an example here. You might really want to eat a hamburger right now. You might be really hungry and like, I would love to have a hamburger in my life. Let's say that hamburger may also be your man or your ideal relationship, your ideal marriage. You're like, I'd really love to be married. I'd really love to have this man in my life. But if you don't know how to cook a hamburger, you're probably just going to guess. And you're going to say, oh, I think I would like to have some meat. Okay, I got to put some meat on the grill. Okay, maybe I got to get some bread. But you may not even have the bread ready to make. You may have to make bread from scratch unless somebody has given it to you, which again would be structure, right? Somebody has actually done the work for you. They put together this product in the right way with the right ingredients. So you're going to need to follow a recipe likely. You're going to need to have tools. You're going to need to have a grill. You're going to need to have a spatula. And then once the hamburger is created, this beautiful dream vision that you have for your stomach, you are going to still need to then put on condiments. You're going to put on ketchup, lettuce, whatever you like on your hamburgers. But you're going to need that recipe, right, to make it taste good and to have some basic idea of how to make a hamburger in order to do it. So you're being led by your desire. You're being led by your hunger, your intuitive nudge from within of like, I would really love to eat a hamburger right now. And then you're following the recipe, the structure, the principles to actually make the hamburger and make it taste delicious. So I hope you're getting this. That's the proper balance for life. That's how you want to live spiritually moving forward to have the best results. And to not forget this, because it's easy to focus too much on one or the other. If you're an OCD type of personality, you're going to love structure. You're going to love to-do lists. You're going to love recipes. You're going to love instructions and being told what to do and having it done right. However, if that's all you're doing, you're going to lose your intuitive guidance. You're going to lose the nudge that's telling you, hey, maybe you're not even making the right thing. Maybe this isn't actually what you want. Maybe you're cleaning something that doesn't need to be cleaned right now when your energy should actually be focused more on some other area of your life. And that's where the intuitive nudge comes from within. Now, the other part of this is if you're just one of these people who fully just wants to follow her intuition and just trust God with everything, that can be good for a while, but likely you're going to lose the structure. You're going to likely have things piling up. You're going to have bills piling up on your desk. You're not going to be paying your taxes. You're not going to be taking care of your health in the right way, potentially. Your finances are going to become an issue. Other areas of your life can become an issue. Your health, your career, your relationships, even if you lose the structure, because then you're just going to be this uber feminine person that is floating around like a little fairy, but not having enough structure to actually have their life put in order, because you will need some structure to function as a human being in the real world, in the real life. You're going to need both to be able to have things put together in a decent way. So just to remember this, you don't want to go too far on either extreme, because we do teach feminine energy here, but we're also teaching you how to be the queen. And the queen is the combination of both, with a slight leaning towards your feminine, towards your heart, towards listening to that design within you, that guidance within you. So just some powerful spiritual teachings I want to give you today. If you implement them, they will change your life. And I would love to start hearing your questions as well on different things in your relationship, in your life. And I will be answering those today while we're hanging out here and while we have some time. So you already have some questions coming in. Gerda said hello from Sweden. Great to have you here, Gerda. Now, Julie has our first substantial question here. So she said, I thought I was getting on really well with a man. Oh, by the way, before we go too deep into questions, one thing I want to recommend, if you haven't yet, if you would like to go deeper into applying the principles of feminine energy and practice in your relationship to get the man in relationship you desire, the devotion you really crave, make sure to take our free quiz by going to magnetizeyourman.com, or you can click the link in the description or comments below or in our bio, depending on where you're watching this. Get that free quiz. That'll start you on the path to really mastering this in your life and having love, devotion, desire from a man and have it last forever. So highly recommend getting that for our free gift for you. So let's go ahead and go back to this question here from Julia. So Julie, sorry. I thought I was getting on really well with the man I've been dating. He was always holding my hand and kissing and cuddling and telling me I'm incredibly sexy. He can't take his eyes off me, but today he told me he wants us to end. Well, sorry to hear that, Julie. I know there's not really a question in here. It's more of a share. Now, what I would recommend in your process that you're going through, because this is always a disappointment when something like this happens. Now, likely there were signs of some kind that maybe you didn't even notice. If I was there looking over your shoulder, I might have noticed some of the signs that he was potentially a broken man or didn't have a lot of care for you and maybe have just been faking it. Maybe he was just waiting until he had sex with you. It doesn't sound like you had sex. You said you were kissing and cuddling, but it can easily lead to that. So you want to be careful with that. So today he told you he wants you to end. Now, I would be curious if you heard if he gave any other explanation for that, or why he wants to end things, if he explained more, or if he just kind of blindsided you with that out of nowhere. Now, of course, in this process, you can use feminine communication that we teach you in our coaching and our programs, how to share your feelings around this. What feelings came up? Talking about intuition, like we mentioned, what feelings came up for you from your heart, from your feminine? Are you feeling sadness right now? Are you feeling anxiety? Are you feeling fear? Are you feeling anger? To be able to share that with him in the right way so that he gets it, he understands the impact, and he can shift his behavior if he's a healthy man. But if he's a broken man, which he also may be, which there's a percentage of men out there, roughly 5 to 15% of men that are deeply broken, that are just not capable of showing care for a woman's heart, or he may just not have any care for you, and that's unfortunate. But to be able to share your feelings with him in a way so he understands and can at least give you more closure and hopefully come back and reverse his trajectory because he sees now your feminine energy and he can feel connected to you again. Maybe that was lacking, but like you said, you were kissing and cuddling, which is a lot of physical activity. So at least he was maybe physically attracted to you. I don't know what the emotional level of connection was between you both, but yeah, that's unfortunate. Julie said he lost his wife 12 years ago to cancer. He's feeling sad and broken over the ex. I think he's scared of feeling. Yeah, which could be. Maybe he's developing stronger feelings and he's getting scared of having pain in his life again. If he lost his wife, he doesn't want to go through that again, potentially. He's still grieving. He's not ready to go deeper with you. So that could be also what can be happening. If he is a healthy man will look out for you. If a man is healthy and he's connected to his masculine core, he's going to want to make you feel happy. He's going to want to make you feel loved. He's going to want to make sure he's protecting your heart. And in order to do that, sometimes a man will protect you from himself. He will say to himself, unconsciously likely, I don't want to hurt you. I know I'm not really ready for a relationship yet. I feel like that's what you want. I feel like that's what you deserve. And I don't want to keep leading you down that path when I know I'm not ready for that yet. And so I have to protect you from me, and I'm going to distance myself for now. Now, it could also be him doing that because he doesn't quite understand where you're at. And he may be assuming things like you're further along emotionally than he is, or that you perhaps want something that he can't give you. And so it could be helpful to have a meta conversation with him where you talk about your feelings and also the reasons why, because he told you he no longer wants a relationship, and you're telling yourself a story that maybe there's some misunderstanding potentially between the both of you, or that he doesn't, that maybe you haven't been able to really talk about what you both want, and maybe that's the reason why he is pulling back. But you don't really know. We can't make up too many stories because we don't know. But you can tell him that you're having these stories come up for yourself so that he understands they're just stories, and he can help you with that. He can help correct the stories and say, look, yeah, maybe we aren't on the same page. Like, let's talk about it. Like, what is really your vision for your relationship or for your life moving forward? And then he can share what his vision is and where he's at, and you can see if there's a match there. And hopefully you guys can progress, and or it will become clear that he's not ready for that. You're not on the same page together, and he's just seeing that before you. And sometimes that happens where a man will see it before you do, and he's just doing his best to prevent further heartache. We don't know, but I would highly recommend having that kind of conversation with him, Julie, so that you can uncover what might be there underneath the surface between the both of you. So, yeah, but in the meantime, self-care is going to be really important. Taking care of yourself, going out in nature, listening to great music that you love, eating healthy foods, getting plenty of sleep, and then most importantly, cultivating your social life. And that's one aspect a lot of women miss when it comes to self-care, is the importance of social activity. Because if you don't have a great social life, you're going to be putting all your eggs in one basket. In other words, you're making him your only source of social activity. And that's a lot to put onto one person. And if you are cultivating relationships by going out to activities and events and going to meetup.com and having friends and family you can talk to, and potentially having other avenues of meeting other men if he hasn't claimed you yet, then that's going to make you less likely to get completely devastated when a situation like this happens. Also, you'll be coming from a more whole and centered place within your feminine core, and likely that will create enough space for him to come closer to you and for you to be able to talk with him in a detached way, so that you're not collapsing and that you're not trying to manipulate him or lead him or control him to get what you want. That instead you're able to simply share your feelings and be vulnerable, which is feminine energy. Allow him to witness that and then come to you and give you all the desires of your heart because he wants to, and because he doesn't feel controlled by you, and he doesn't feel like you're trying to manipulate him or control him or get something from him. That you're simply vulnerably sharing your heart and allowing him to witness it and to come closer because you're detached from the outcome. Committed to the process, but detached from the outcome. You can only get there, likely, if you are increasing your self-care, focusing the energy on you, not on him. As long as your energy is focused on him, you are in masculine energy and you're likely trying to control him in some way. You have to redirect the energy back to yourself, fill yourself up, fill up your cup, and be vulnerable at the same time, which is a balance. That's the delicate balance of being the queen. And it's a lot of what we talked about before with balancing the intuition with the structure. You're intuitively focusing on your desires and your needs, but you're also having some structure in the sense of boundaries, boundaries with yourself, that you're not allowing yourself to go into bad behaviors and disrespectful behaviors potentially with him, masculine behaviors. And you're also having structure in your life, such as social like activity, working with a coach like with us, a community of women supporting you. That kind of structure in your environment around you will help you stay in that place of being committed to the process and detached from the outcome in your feminine energy, which will make you infinitely magnetic. So I hope that's helpful, Julie. And let's see what other questions we have here today. So Jen said, glad to have Made Alive. Welcome, Jen. Glad you're here. Gerarda said she's enjoying the information. Christine said, amen. All right. So Gerda said, me and my old man have not had sex, but we talk a lot and port with plenty kisses. So sounds a lot like Julie's situation, probably. Plus, with a big ear to adores others want. Okay. Sorry, Gerarda. I'm sure English may not be your first language, so I don't quite understand the last part. Maybe that you're listening to each other really well with your ears. Yeah, you're holding a big ear towards each other. Feel free to rephrase that, Gerda, and I will help you with that. But I'm not sure I understand the question yet. But I would love to help you once I can get a better idea of what you're discussing. But glad you're here at least today. Okay, so Katie said, I feel like I come second at times to my man's super busy life. We are both busy, independent people, but at times I feel like I kind of need to fit in around all the activities and commitments. We have a really solid relationship and good communication and lots of love. I don't want to come off as needy. Any suggestions? So if you find that you're in a situation where you're not a man's priority, typically it's because you're not prioritizing yourself. And this is energetic. So what this means is the key to shift this is to shift your own view of yourself first, to see yourself as a priority. In order to say the words to yourself, I am a priority. And to believe it on a deeper level means you have to prove that with your actions. So not only to believe that you are a priority, but to live as if you are a priority. So what would it look like if you were to live your life knowing that you are the queen, you are a queen, and that you are a priority to yourself, first and foremost, but you're also a priority to others? Now, the first thing that will likely come up when you truly believe and live as if you are a priority is you're going to prioritize your own needs and your own desires. And that sometimes means getting your needs met in other sources, like I was talking about with Julie. That means self-care. That means, are you looking out for your own basic needs that he shouldn't even provide for you, such as, are you taking care of your health? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you doing activities that you enjoy on a daily basis, hopefully, whether that's hobbies or reading a great book that you love, or taking bubble baths, or watching a show that you enjoy, hanging out with friends that lift you up, family that lifts you up, going out in environments that are beautiful, having a social life like we talked about. That's a big piece. And it sounds like you're in an exclusive relationship with him. So that, of course, would not mean that you're necessarily dating other people, but that you are still available to hang out and meet new friends. There's nothing wrong with that. So that when he is doing other things, when he is focused on his work, that you're also not just staying at home, waiting and wishing and wanting and being miserable, but that you're going out somewhere. Whether you're going out in nature, ideally you leave your house, because if you're just stuck at your house all the time, it's very easy to start getting sad and depressed because the energy can get stagnant, just like a pond that's not moving. Sometimes to get the energy back in your life, to get your feminine energy flowing, you have to be flowing, which means you need to be like that river and you need to move. Go on a walk, go on a jog, go out to a lounge, go to a hotel bar, go eat dinner by yourself, maybe go to a restaurant, or invite a girlfriend, invite a family member, go visit someone else, go walk your dog, go out in the water. If there's water nearby you, just look at the water. Water is a universal sign, a universal symbol of feminine energy because it's flowing, it's moving. And that'll help you reconnect with that energy of flow and movement and not stagnation. Because once you're moving and once you're in your flow and once you're prioritizing yourself, you're likely to then attract him prioritizing you more, because you are shifting the energy within yourself, and that energy communicates, it shows, and it flows outwards from you. You start to radiate like a lamp. What is light doing? Light is also radiating, right? It is moving. It is in wavelengths going outwards into the universe. And the man can catch that wavelength and bask in the light, bask in the sun, and get a tan and start to feel really good and be like, wow, I want to be around this woman because she radiates, because she's moving. She's in her flow. She is prioritizing herself, and that energy, that happiness that starts to be created within you, maybe not happiness per se, but it could just be a feeling of contentment, perhaps, or just feeling good in your body because you're exercising and because you are not just waiting and wishing and wanting, but you're doing some things that you enjoy, that you're following that intuitive nudge to go do from your heart that feels exciting to you. Now he's feeling that radiance and he wants to be a part of it. It creates a different energy. And I believe really that men have a sixth sense for this, that men can pick up when a woman really is prioritizing herself and doing things that she enjoys, especially with other people. A man can start to sense it and feel a little tiny nudge within him of, oh, well, what if she leaves me? What if she's happier without me? What if she's just doing something? What if she meets somebody else that she enjoys more, that she wants more than me while she's out? What if some men start to approach her? What if some men start to claim her? Men have a sixth sense for this because genetically men are wired to avoid being cheated on by their women. So they have this unconscious mechanism that can pick up when their woman is authentically available. Not, and again, not saying that you're putting yourself out there to date other men, although if you're not in an exclusive relationship, I would actually recommend that. But it sounds like you're in an exclusive relationship where your man has claimed you to some extent, although some may debate that you're not fully claimed by a man until you're married. So, there's that whole conversation. But I would say if you have an exclusivity agreement with a man, don't date other men. If you don't have an exclusivity agreement with a man, do what you want. Do what you enjoy, but don't have sex with a bunch of men. Don't do that. That's just going to create more problems for you. I'm not saying go around and do that. I'm just saying make yourself available potentially for a man who is going to claim you, because again, men have a sixth sense for this. And so what it can activate within him is, oh shoot, I should step up. I should be more available for her. I should claim her more so that I don't lose her. Because otherwise, if he senses that you're just locked in, that you're just going to endlessly wait for him, you're just going to endlessly sacrifice your life, one might say, to take it to an extreme, while you're waiting for him to come around, then he's not going to have any urgency to claim you because he'll feel he's got it locked in unconsciously, right? If we're talking about male DNA, unconsciously he'll believe he has it locked in and there's no need for him to step up at all, because why does he need to put in more effort when there's no need to, there's no requirement. And people, we as humans, we don't tend to do anything unless something activates us, unless we have either a fear or a strong desire or a massive amount of pain that motivates us to do something. We don't tend to change a lot. We don't tend to make dramatic changes or do something dramatic in our life unless we have some emotion. We talked about emotion before and your intuition that activates us. So that may be the key to unlock within him the extra motivation, the gumption to do something about it and to claim you. So that's what I'd recommend for you, Katie. Other than that, what's a powerful approach is to have a communication with him, a conversation using your feminine energy, having a feminine conversation with him, where you respectfully ask to talk to him about these things by saying something. May I ask if I can share something with you? Or can we have a conversation? Or is it okay if I share a feeling that's coming up for me? That's a better way to put it. And once he says yes, to have a conversation around what feelings are coming up for you around this. Is it sadness? Is it anxiety? Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? Is it frustration? Is it anger? But to be able to share that in a respectful way, in a detached way, that he understands what's coming up for you, that you're willing to speak up and tell him the reasons why when he inevitably asks, why are you feeling that way? Why are you feeling some loneliness coming up or some sadness? Well, because you tell him exactly what you told me here. I feel we're both busy, independent people, and I know you're really committed to your work right now. And I'm telling myself a story that sometimes I feel like I'm coming second to your busy life, and that I need to sort of fit myself in around your activities and commitments. And, that thought made me feel sad, and I'm not sure what to do. To allow him to witness that and to even ask him for help around that can help him to understand what's coming up for you, to understand what's going on so that he can actually step up if he chooses to and do something about it, make a shift. Because oftentimes, if a man is a healthy man and he has care for you, he's going to want to make you happy. And that can be his motivation to shift it, to make you happy, because he understands his actions are having that impact. And of course, if you have a busy life as well, it may involve both of you making more time for each other and having that conversation around, let's put, like, can we make some time to see each other every week? Can we make some time to see each other every day, potentially, if you're able to do that? And then it's up to him. He's either going to step up into his masculine and help you with that, or he's not. And that's, if he doesn't, that's a sign, of course, over time, when you use our 90-day challenge, that he may not be the right man for you. We'll have to see. Does he step up or not? So those are some basics I would recommend to get you started on that path, Katie. Hope that helps. All right. So we have a new question from Net. Net said, a Net detective. I like it. Let's detect where the feminine energy lies within you. I'm surprised at anyone I talk to from a dating site. Most don't seem to have a desire to get to know each other, but just want to jump into the sex subject, which is a turnoff for women. Well, I wouldn't say it's a turnoff for all women, because of course some women may like that, a small percentage, but we just want to avoid generalizing when we can. It's a turnoff for you, and it's actually more powerful when you can own that. I don't like it. It's a turnoff for me when a man brings up sex right away. That way, you make it more personal, you own it, and it's actually more vulnerable for you to admit that when you're sharing this potentially with a man, which I would recommend in the right way. So, yes, it's unfortunate, and online dating can suck. Oftentimes, it can be hard, and there's a lot of scammers out there. There's a lot of flakes. There's a lot of avoidance. There's narcissists. There's everything you can find. And so that's where, especially what I talked to you about earlier, trusting your intuition can come into play when you're online, to trust something higher than yourself, because you oftentimes don't have a lot of signals. And you can have some guy in India in his bedroom, like talking to you online, pretending to be somebody he's not, and or just someone, random person from anywhere on the planet talking to you. It could even be a woman talking to you, pretending to be some handsome guy from, working for the UN, and he's a doctor and he's overseas and he's in the military, he's ex-military. Those are the kind of guys that they tend to pretend to be like, because they kind of know what works. Anyways, you can watch some of those documentaries that are existing on online scammers and how to look out for that and just what happens, unfortunately. So, yeah, but then you have the other guys who are just bringing up sex and just wanting to get in your pants, essentially. And so how do you handle those situations? Well, for one, what would a queen do? A queen online, of course, she's going to use our Magnetic Feminine online dating course that we have in our coaching memberships. That's the first place to start. How do you shape your profile so that you're not attracting those kind of men? Because those kind of men will typically be drawn to certain profiles and certain ways, certain photos from women that are more sexual or that are more masculine potentially, because masculine energy will attract men who are not emotionally attracted to you, but just attracted to you physically. If you're a masculine woman, you may still look physically attractive, but if you have masculine energy, a man's not going to be drawn to you emotionally. He's going to only be drawn to you physically. So we need to make sure you're communicating feminine energy through your profile with your images, and as a queen would. So not posting sexy images. You can have images that are attractive, but most important from your images is your energy and coming across as a healthy, high value, feminine, queenly woman is going to be key. And then of course, with your bio, you do that as well. And we'll teach you how to do that. And we help customize your bio to do that so that you're attracting high quality men. Now, if a man is still coming through after that and messaging you about sexual topics, going there too quickly, if this is a guy you feel intuitively could be a match for you, then it's going to be important to have a conversation with him about that. So you don't just ignore him unless you really don't want to be, you're just totally turned off. You don't want to interact with him anymore. That's fine as well. So it's totally fine to just ignore men, to block them. Some men need a little bit of quote unquote training, you might say, or they need to understand, what's a better way to phrase it, they need to understand what kind of woman they're dealing with. So you have to show them how you are different, what kind of woman you are. And that means speaking up. That means sharing your feelings around that. When he says something or does something that makes you feel discomfort, anxiety, sadness, frustration, uncertainty, that you bring those feelings up to him to let him know respectfully. So you're not just dumping them on him, like saying something like, "You're making me feel really uncomfortable right now." Because for one, that's a judgment, but it's also a criticism. And likely that's just going to make him defensive. And he's going to be, it may turn into an argument. It's just not going to typically get the response that you want. Because let's say he is a quality guy, but he's very turned on by you, and he's just maybe used to that women are okay with that and talking about sex early on. And he needs to know, oh, but you're not one of those women that he's just going to have sexual conversations with right away or have sex with right away. You're like a queen. You're a different level. And he needs to understand that. And so by bringing it up in the right way and having those conversations and using feminine communication, he'll understand who he's dealing with and more likely adjust his behavior and apologize and never do it again. He may still do it again, and then you can have another conversation, and then eventually you can block him then if he's a guy that's just clearly not taking the hint and he's not listening and he's not wanting to show care for your heart. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember, all that matters is a man showing care for your heart, or is he not showing care for your heart? If he's showing care for your heart, that's great. Continue dating him. You can use the 90-day challenge that we'll give you. And if he's not showing care for your heart, then you're going to have to eventually step away. And you're only going to know that it will only be revealed if a man is showing care for your heart when you reveal your heart to him. He has to see your heart. He has to feel your heart in order to show care for it, in order to understand what your heart needs, what your heart is feeling. And he's either going to show care or he's not going to show care. Showing care would be, like I said, apologizing, listening, wanting to understand more, asking questions about it. And then, of course, not doing it again, changing his behavior because he chooses to, because he wants to protect your heart. He doesn't want to make you feel uncomfortable. He doesn't want to make you feel sad. He doesn't want you to feel frustration. So he'll change on his own. A man not showing care for your heart will be, he gets defensive. It's, again, assuming you communicated with feminine communication, you communicated respectfully, and he's still getting defensive, angry, or he's brushing it off, he's making it not a big deal, or he's making you wrong and saying, like, you shouldn't be uncomfortable, like this is just normal, like people talk like this all the time online. Well, that's him not listening, not showing care. And if he continues to be that way, you have to move on. So that's how I'd recommend it, Net, is you have to listen to those things, you have to look for those things, and you have to have a better approach. Like we talked about before, you have to have the balance of intuition, but also structure, using the practices we're going to give you, using the rules we give you, the strategy, the structure of how you communicate, especially how you set boundaries with yourself. How are you asking permission and being vulnerable and being respectful and speaking up and sharing your heart and being a queen and being willing to move on. Ultimately, if a guy isn't showing care, and maintaining your self-care and your detachment from the outcome in the journey, that's going to be all key for you mastering this and having a loving long-term relationship once and for all. So I hope that was helpful, Net. Zulema said, hello, welcome, Zulema, glad to have you on. Julie said, thank you for earlier. You're welcome, Julie. You make sense, much love. All right, I'm glad it's helping you, Julie. That's awesome to hear. Let's see. So Janice said, I like to walk through the woods on the beach and listen to Magnetize Your Man modules. I love it, Janice. That's the best thing to do. That's actually, it's a double form of self-care, because remember, feminine self-care is about focusing the energy back on you, getting your energy off of him back to yourself. How are you feeling? What do you want? How can you prioritize yourself even more? How can you be even more vulnerable? How can you show up even more in your radiance? And so focusing the energy back on yourself, investing into yourself like you're doing here. You're listening to me now. You're listening to relationship, life, spiritual education right now. You're filling yourself up as we speak. And then if you're on top of that, filling up your body with great sunlight, air, sounds from the birds, the ocean, like you said. That's a double dose of self-care, and that's beautiful because now you're really amplifying that. So I love that, Janice. That's a great idea, and continue to do that. Continue to go through the modules in our courses, and continue to get out in nature, and especially the beach, because remember, the ocean, water, it's a feminine essence. It is God's way of showing you what feminine energy looks like, and to embrace it. The cycles of the ocean, the tides that come in based on the moon cycles, the 30-day cycles, the flow, the energy of it, how it's constantly changing and moving. And it's also expressed. You'll see water moving from different forms. It becomes rain, it becomes rivers, it becomes lakes, it becomes ice. And that's the same with you as a woman. Your feminine energy is always changing, and it fluctuates. And what's important is not to block that flow, not to dam it up and make it stagnant, but to allow it to flow and to allow yourself to change, and not just to judge yourself for that. That you are evolving, you are moving, you're in alignment with nature, with the universe, and that you can express that to a man. You can also allow him to witness it. You can allow him to understand and feel your feelings. That's your feminine essence, which actually will make him more attractive, because you're creating polarity, where now you are this flowing essence of water and he is like the rock. He has to be like the rock, because if you have two people that are flowing in their feminine, there's nothing holding it. There's no container. The water's just going to flow away. But if you have like a pool, or if you have like a lagoon, if you have rock in there that's holding the structure for the water, now you can have both. You have the masculine and feminine together. You can feel safe to flow, to be in your emotions, to be in your joy, to be in your sadness, whatever may come up. And then he's got you. He's holding you. He's there for you. He's witnessing you, and he wants to. He wants to help. He wants to be your man. And now he has purpose, and you have a container, and you have flow, and you're both happy. And it's like that beautiful dance that comes in relationships from the masculine and feminine energies dancing together. So I love it, Janice. And then Raina asked, what if a guy you like, you have been in and out of, promises, I assume you're saying in and out of a relationship, he promises he would never hurt or leave you. You found him talking to girls online and other social avenues. And I was honest that I have guy buds. Oh, you have friends that are male as well. So the bigger issue is why you're both in and out of relationship with each other, that there's deeper issues going on, and to get that handled. Likely what's happening is either he's a broken man, or you are a broken woman, or both. Or so you have issues to clean up on each of your ends. He has issues he's working through, hopefully. You have issues you're working through, potentially. Beyond that, so your issues can actually be cleaned up together. You can actually help each other to heal it to some extent, if you have the next component, which is polarity. So if you're in your healthy feminine, queenly feminine, which means you're able to be vulnerable with him around things, specifically your emotions, and you're able to ask him for help, he's going to feel more responsible for you. He's going to feel more responsible for the relationship if he's a healthy man. And he's going to want to help you, because he will get a sense of meaning from that. If you ask him for tips, if you ask him for advice, if you ask him for favors, for problems that he can solve for you around the house, things that are broken, things he can help you with technology, with your car, but also your emotions, anything he can be of service, you're waking up his hero instinct, and he's going to be feeling more and more responsible for you in the relationship, because he'll feel a sense of purpose. That before, he might just be feeling that you're just friends. You're just people that hang out together. Maybe you have sex sometimes, but there's not really a sense of meaning for him in the relationship, that he hasn't claimed you fully. He hasn't said, look, I want to be your man, and I want to be your man for a long time to come. I want to be your man for life. And so I'm responsible for you, and I'm going to take care of you, and I got you. I got you, and I got us. And I want to make you happy. He may not say those words exactly, but he will do that with his actions. And so in order to get him to that place, he has to start seeing himself more and more as your hero, as your man. And that means that you're allowing him in to give you those things and respectfully asking him for help with things and bringing up your feelings. And then also appreciating him when he does do those things for you, when he is opening the door for you, solving things around the house. He fixed your sink. He helped you with an issue with a friend. He delivered something for you. Whatever those small or big things are that you've asked him to help you with, and he does it, he starts to shift his identity towards, oh, I must be doing these things for her because I'm her man, because she's my woman, because I'm responsible for her, because I want to be responsible for her, because I want to protect her heart. And so oftentimes that's how you can shift the dynamic where you're simply asking him for help. So when things like this come up that he may not have been feeling the polarity, or there's some other issues going on where he feels the need to talk to other women, that he hasn't fully found his purpose yet in you, in the relationship, that he feels like he needs to find that from somebody else, that he's searching. In order to shift that dynamic, you have to give him the polarity he's looking for. And that means that you're not actually giving him anything. You're showing up as that. You're showing up as the feminine, as the opening that he can fill, that he feels needed by you. He feels wanted by you. He feels appreciated by you. And he is able to feel your heart. He's able to feel the areas where he can step in and be your man. And he wants to, because now he feels that his life has a bigger purpose with that. So it's a deeper conversation, Raina, but hopefully that'll give you some ideas of where to start looking. And if you really want to master this, of course, join our coaching memberships, join our community, which you can get by taking our free quiz in the links below, or go to magnetizeyourman.com. And we will help you with that. We will give you the 90-day challenge. We will give you the structure and the flow to be able to magnetize him back to you, so that he doesn't want to talk to other women. He doesn't care about other women, because why would he need other women when his hands are full with you, so to speak? His hands are like full. I got enough right here, and I like it. I like having my hands full with you. Like, I want to be active in your life. I want to be the man for you. I want to take care of you. I want to hold you. I want to hold you. I want to hug you. I want to energetically hold you. I want to take care of your heart, because that's giving me a sense of, I have something to live for here. I have meaning. I have purpose. I'm a man on a mission. I want to make more money for you. I want to make a great home for you. I want to take care of business for you. I want to make you feel safe. I want to make you feel loved. I want to make you feel adored. I want to give you pleasure, physical pleasure, emotional pleasure, mental pleasure, spiritual pleasure. And now that will be activated when he feels that in. And the key with this all, just to remind you, the last caveat is, if he's not a deeply broken man. You have to use our 90-day challenge, because through this process, it may come up that he is simply too broken to be fixed. He has deep wounds from childhood. He was cheated on in the past, or he had trauma from his dad who was abusing him, or his mom who never showed him love. And he has to heal that on his own. You can't fix him. And the more you try to fix him or be his therapist, you're going to move into masculine energy. You're going to kill the polarity even more. He has to do it on his own. All he needs to know is that it's a problem, but he needs to know that in the right way. He needs to know that respectfully, which is where feminine communication comes in, because he needs to realize for himself that this is a problem, not because you told him it's a problem. He can understand that your emotions are there. That's something you can tell him, but he needs to understand, this is a problem. I need to fix this, not because she told me to, but because I want to. I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to hurt her anymore. I want her to be happy, because I love her and because I care about her. And those feelings will come when he feels that sense of responsibility. And you just have to open that gateway up within him by how you're showing up. You're showing up as surprise. You're showing up as this queenly, high value, feminine woman that he wants to be a hero for, that he feels compelled. Like, I got to step up my game. I got to be a better king, because if I don't step up, I'm going to lose her. She's probably going to find some other man who won't do these things to her, and that will treat her well, and that she's going to be with him instead of me. So then he's going to just want, because you can't keep eyes on him all the time. You can't be checking his phone all the time. Like, if a man wants to, he's going to talk to other women. If a man really wants to, he's going to flirt with other women, whatever. He's going to find ways to do that, even if those other women aren't interested in him, but he's still going to try if he wants to. So really the only defense you have as a woman, the only certainty you have as a woman is that he cares about you so much. He loves you so much. He feels responsible for you so much that he doesn't even, for one, have the desire to do that. But even if he had the desire to do that, he's not going to, because his value system won't allow him to do that. He's going to feel that feels wrong to me. And I don't also want to do that and risk losing her, because that would be more painful to me than the pleasure of being hit on by hitting on a woman or having sex with another woman. That pleasure wouldn't be worth the potential pain of losing my woman that I care about and doing that hurt to her. So I'm not going to. That's really your power as a woman, is that you activate that within him to such an extent that he puts the guardrails on himself. He sets boundaries with himself to protect you. And that's what we teach you how to do. All right. Katie said, Magnetize your man. Thank you. That was very helpful. Yes, we have been exclusive for 18 months. Okay. That's good to hear. Sounds like a pretty good. It must be a pretty good relationship to be with him for 18 months. And now we just have these slight tweaks we got to work out, Katie, these problems to get him to also prioritize you fully, and have another amazing 18 months coming up, and longer, potentially the rest of your life together. So Net said, thank you. Have another similar question from Diana. She said, most men just want sex these days. Is the rude reality of it? Lots of dating sites like Tinder are just hookup sites. Dating is difficult these days. I just do me because it's not worth my energy anymore. Yeah, well, this is the key, Deanna. Yes, I do want you to just do you, in a sense of like, I want you to focus on yourself. That's feminine energy. Now, the caveat is with that, if you want to still have love in your life and you don't want it to be a lot of work or a lot of pain like you've been experiencing with relationships and with your dating, it's about the paradox of how do you focus on yourself while also putting yourself out there, while also being vulnerable. Because then what it allows you to do is you become like this beautiful flower that's blooming and blossoming, because you focus on yourself, because like what you're doing here, putting energy into yourself to become the most amazing woman you can be. But you're blooming in a way where you're available. You're out there, either online or offline, or ideally what I'd recommend is both. That you're putting yourself out there online and offline, but simply as that, as a blooming flower. And then what happens when a flower blooms? When a flower blooms, what does it attract? Well, oftentimes it'll attract honeybees. It may attract also humans that come to smell the flower, come to look at the flower. But that's what happens with the beautiful flower, is it's attracting. It's not chasing, it's attracting, which makes it a lot easier for you. Because the reason why you're energetically drained is because you're likely moving into masculine energy in some ways in your dating. That there's some that you may be putting too much effort into it. You may be putting in effort in the sense of getting attached too quickly, feeling like you need to perform for these guys, that you need to manipulate them in some way. You need to lead them in some way. And that takes work. And that's not your job. Your job from the feminine is to be like the egg that attracts the sperm. You're simply there. You're the prize. You're high value. What happens with the sperm? They are chasing you. They are hoping to be chosen by you. That's feminine, masculine energy. Think of that when you're online next time. You are the egg and they are the sperms. Okay? But the idea here is the egg's not putting in a lot of work, right? The egg is showing up. The egg is there. The egg is already the prize. The egg is already valuable. And if you're putting in too much work, if you're putting in too much of your emotional energy into these guys, you're likely moving into masculine energy where you're like, oh, please choose me. Or you're saying like, oh, I kind of like you, but I kind of need to change you a little bit, or I kind of have to be like a mom to you a little bit because you're acting kind of like a child. So I'm moving into mommy energy, or like I feel like that's what I have to do in order to be loved. Is I have to perform. I have to like be a certain way, and it takes a lot of work to perform because you're having to wear a mask and you're having to like be like this dancing, dancing puppet, or this, the dancing, the bear at the circus rolling around on the what is that, unicycle with a little hat on your head and a pink dress. Like, no, you don't need to perform for these guys. You're already the prize. So now it's about embracing that, for one, cultivating your feminine energy, investing into yourself like you're doing here. You continue to do that, which I'm sure you've done a lot of this already. You've listened to a lot of YouTube videos, or you've read a lot of books. Maybe you've done some courses, even taking it to the next level. And so to continue to do that, you're improving yourself, you're improving your knowledge, you're improving your connection to your feminine core, assuming you're getting the right information, because there's also a lot of bad information out there that will put you in the wrong direction and cause you to be in the same like loop that you're in. So you need the right information, you need to redirect the energy to yourself. The flower blooms, it attracts the honeybees. Now, part of this also is vulnerability. When men are messaging you online, how are you responding? What are you sharing with them? How are you giving them a test in a way? Like, your vulnerability is a natural test. When you share emotion with a man, or you share a feeling that you have, or you ask him for help, or you ask him for advice with something, or you ask for his opinion on something, this is a test. It's a feminine test to see how he responds. What kind of man am I dealing with here? Is he showing care from my heart, or is he not showing care from my heart? And then it becomes a lot easier because you're simply being the flower. Men are coming to you. You're being the egg. Men are coming to you. You're sharing your feelings with them. You're asking for help in different ways, and you're observing them detached from the outcome. You're observing how they behave. Are they showing care for your heart or not? If they're not showing care for your heart, over time, you're moving on. Either you're blocking them, or you're respectfully letting them know you're no longer interested romantically. Maybe it could be a friendship still, but you're respectfully moving on until the right man is passing those tests consistently. He's rising to the occasion. He's like that one sperm that gets through all the other ones and is getting closer to the egg. And then what happens when that one sperm gets all the way to the egg? Well, eventually the egg says, all right, you're the winner. I'll let you in. And now life is created, and all the birds are singing, and all the angels are dancing. And that's what happens when you are living polarity principles. You are living what we're teaching you here to allow your life to be easier, to allow dating and relationships to be simple, fun, and easy rather than hard, complex, and miserable. So think about that approach, Diane. I just want you to meditate on that, to feel into that, and look into how it can be easier for yourself. And we, of course, will help teach you how to do that. And we have our course on magnetic feminine online dating, as well as what's going to be more powerful for you, our basic teachings and advanced teachings on masculine feminine polarity, and especially magnetic feminine communication, so that it will be easy for you. But you just got to learn little tweaks. Like we talked about at the beginning of this video, you got to learn a little bit of the structure so that you can then get into the intuitive element, the flow of things, and it just becomes easy for you because you've got it, you dialed it in. It's like learning a new dance. It's like learning a new language. It takes a little while to learn the steps. You got to practice and you got to focus, but then eventually you can just flow with it. And you see those beautiful dancers on the dance floor just going crazy with each other, having a good time and having fun. And they don't even have to really think about it because they've mastered polarity. Now they're just enjoying the dance. So that's what we want to get you to, Diana. So I hope that was helpful. Cindy said, great content. Glad this is helpful to you. I'm glad you're here. Great to have you. And Elizabeth said, please, I need help. The man I like, he is not showing any signs of interest. I'm really interested in him and I do everything for him to be interested, but he doesn't show any. What else can I do to get him interested in me? So the first thing I'll say, as Elizabeth, is if a man isn't showing any signs of interest in you, okay, we'll go even deeper than that. The first problem here is you're likely putting a man on a pedestal and you're likely not having enough options. And that will typically go together. Usually, a woman who puts a man on a pedestal will start closing away her options, and a woman who has closed away her options will tend to put men on pedestals. The reason why is because you're in scarcity mindset. Scarcity mindset will make it very hard to detach from the outcome. If you only have one option available, what are you going to do? You're going to cling onto that option as great as you can, as tightly as you can, because you're terrified of losing that one option. It's like parents who have only one child, right? If you have just one child, you're going to be usually one of these very anxious parents because they've put all their eggs into one basket and this is their life, as opposed to a family who has, let's say, 19 kids. If you have 19 kids, of course, you're going to love and value all of your kids, but you're likely going to have to let go of some of your anxiety about what could be happening at any moment with all the kids because there's just too many. You can't even do it if you want to. And maybe that's not the best analogy. A better analogy may be like shows like The Bachelorette, where she has all these guys that are vying for her. So it's easier for her to calm down a little bit, give each guy a chance, listen to each guy. And if one guy leaves, yeah, she'll probably be sad about it. But then she has like 10 other guys there. And usually even in those shows, unfortunately, you'll find women get attached to one guy and they usually will get attached very quickly. So there's also something to be said about female biology and the way that your DNA is wired, that you are more likely than a man to focus on one man rather than to open yourself up to potential and opportunities with other men as well. And that's because genetically, a woman is more wired to need one man to take care of her if she gets pregnant. And she only needs one man to be able to reproduce often. So there's not a need to like have all these guys to be able to survive and reproduce with. It's actually going to be more of a liability likely if a woman is having multiple men in her life that are all interested in her over time. That's going to cause problems. They're probably going to fight each other and whatnot. And so genetically, there's a lot of reasons why you're more likely to do that. But the solution here is what I'll get to is the solution for you, Elizabeth, is you need to start to broaden your horizons. Maybe it's not about dating other men, but at least putting yourself out there more. Like I talked about, this was a big theme for the cult today: self-care, cultivating your social life, polishing up your online dating profiles potentially if you're not in an exclusive relationship, and just making yourself available, being the flower, blossoming, being the flame to the moths, the sun to the planets, the flower to the honeybees. You're making yourself available for other men to enter the picture as well, because it doesn't mean you have to be with one of these other men, but just the fact that you're doing that, it helps you to release some attachment to this one man so that you can be more in your feminine with him and not be so, oh, I need his interest. I need him to be interested in me. Otherwise, I'm not happy. And otherwise my life sucks. Well, that's going to cause a lot of issues because he's going to sense that likely. And that's a lot of pressure to put on a relationship. And also you're likely to move into masculine energy because of that. So we want to broaden the horizons. We want to open up the possibilities, at least develop other sources in your life of pleasure and of love and connection other than him. So maybe that's reconnecting with some family members, some friends from way back, joining some art classes, some dance classes, some hobby groups, some meetup groups. Go to meetup.com or eventbrite.com or Facebook and look for events and activities in your area. This will really help you. Now, other than that, if you want to get a man's interest and attention, you have to radiate feminine energy. So that can start with a smile. That can start with your eyes. That can start with the way you're dressing. Are you dressing in your feminine? It doesn't mean dressing sexy and showing him all your cleavage. It just means, or your booty. It just means that you're dressing in a way that expresses that feminine flow within you. Maybe it's more dresses rather than pants. Maybe it's more feminine colors, pinks and purples and reds, rather than blacks and, browns, grays, oranges. Those are all masculine colors, right? So more feminine colors, more feminine dress, and then your energy is the most powerful thing, and opening up your heart to be available. Now, I don't know if you've talked to him before, if this is just a guy at work or a guy that you see sometimes and you haven't even had a conversation yet, but I wanted to cover those basics: smiling, Smiling is big. It's the openness, right? It's open body language with your chest. It's looking at him, even for a couple seconds, and looking away. Maybe touching your hair, flowing long hair. These are all feminine things you can implement with your appearance that can grab a man's attention. But then also just living from feminine principles, like we teach you with our courses and our coaching in these videos here, how to live from feminine principles that naturally magnetize, that naturally radiate, because that energy will come out. And then if you're talking to him, how can you be more vulnerable? How can you share your feelings? How can you ask him for help more? How can you allow him to step up and lead you or be your man in some way, to activate polarity on his end, where he is interested in you? He sees you more in a romantic sense and rather than just friends or co-workers. So it'll depend on that, Elizabeth, but that'll get you pointed in the right direction. And then I would recommend learning more of the advanced principles to take this to the next level for yourself as well. Julie said, I live by the ocean. I love the water. Yes, it's amazing. It's really great for every woman to find some source of water. Even if you're in a town that has no water, like go to the swimming pool. I'm sure you can find a swimming pool somewhere. Go swimming. Go to the rec hall, the recreation center. Or when it's raining next time, go out in the rain. Go dance. Put on some pink boots. Play Taylor Swift and go dance in a rain puddle. That'll shift you into your feminine faster than anything else. Diana said, thank you. I just walked away from a man. He was broken because everything was about him and not me. He had toxic tendencies. I can't. Okay. So Diana, for those who don't remember, she was asking about online dating earlier. He was broken because everything was about him and not me. He had toxic tendencies I can't adapt to, especially when I'm going into a nursing program. He never took accountability to say sorry, or never was there for my feelings. He brushed them under the carpet. I know I dodged a bullet. Yeah, I know that could be tough, Diana. It's like you know he was bad for you. You know it was toxic, but yet it still hurts. It's still painful. There's still part of you, maybe the little girl archetype inside of you that was sad. And it was like, this could have been something. This could have been great. It could have worked. We could have had it all. But you didn't. So that's hard. And I know it's something to grieve and to go through the stages of grief and allow yourself to cry into a pillow, to scream into a pillow, to scream in your car, to let it out, because yeah, it can still hurt, even if you know it's not right. And that's where we go into the structure and the flow that I was talking about earlier. Is sometimes your heart can be like, I really want him, or I liked him, or I was attracted to him. And oftentimes this is also due to sometimes women will sleep with guys that aren't good for them, and they'll get physically attached from their biology to a bad man, to a man that's not a good fit for them for whatever reason. Maybe he's bad, or maybe he's just not a good fit. But because you had sex with him, your biology is like, oh, I could be pregnant with his child, so I need to be attached to him and I need to have feelings for him, blah, 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 blah. So you need to let that go. You need to let your body let it go as well. If that was the case, allow yourself to grieve. And where was I going with that? Yeah. So you have that, your heart is desiring him potentially, but then the structure part is like, I know this isn't even what I want. We don't even share the same goals. We don't have the same vision for the future. Maybe he wants kids and you don't, or you want kids and he doesn't, or you're a certain religion and he's a different religion, or he has a lifestyle that's just totally not compatible with yours, or values that are totally incompatible with yours. And he's like, I know it's not a good long-term fit. So sometimes that's where the structure comes in, where it's like your heart is like, yes, I like that, but maybe the structure part is reminding yourself that he's not the only man on the planet, and that you can have some of the good parts that you liked with him. You can attract that into your next man, but have the other things not there. So the toxic traits are not there. The fact that he wasn't showing care for your heart is not there, but that you're still attracted to him. You're still excited about him. You still love spending time with him. Like, how can you get the total package? And that may be the place where you need to remind yourself now, Diana, is what does the total package look like to you? Focus on that. Like, focus on having it all. Like, get the whole package. That you will have it all, and you're not going to almost have it all, but you will have it all in completeness. And that's what you need to stay focused on. So you focus on that in your life, and that's who you're becoming, the kind of woman that's a match for that. Remember, because we want to have you can still have vision and desire, but we want to then bring the energy back to yourself of like, okay, how can you be the woman that is a match to that is attracting that kind of man in her life, that kind of relationship, that kind of marriage potentially, That means you have to continue to look at what was it within you that attracted a toxic man, that attracted toxic traits. Maybe there are some patterns still playing out from your childhood that you haven't healed yet, that you have to forgive some people in your life potentially. You have to forgive yourself. You have to look at some beliefs that you may have around men and around love and around relationships, that maybe there's a belief inside of you that you're not good enough, or you have to perform in order to be loved, or you have to always chase love rather than receive it, rather than love can be simple, fun, and easy. Men take care of me. I love men. Um, they're always giving me what I desire. They're meeting my needs. They protect my heart. They um, treat me like a queen. They treat me like a princess. Like, relationships can be simple, fun, and easy. Dating can be simple, fun, and easy. So some of these new beliefs that you are good enough, you are worthy, you are lovable, you are amazing, you're incredible, you're beautiful, to adopt those beliefs and repeat them to yourself and to live as that. So to prove that to yourself with your actions, that you start to trust again, you start to open up your heart again, because you believe men do want to take care of you. Men do want to share you love and devotion and adoration and commitment, and that the world is a friendly place, that men are capable of showing love, that men are good, that there are good men out there, men that can love you and take care of you and cherish you, and that you're attracted to, and that who are strong and masculine. So you have to reshape these beliefs and look at that vision, and then start living into that vision in that sense, so that you can have what you want and be able to let go of this situation in the past. Now, the last thing I'll say is that is, again, the importance and the reason why we teach our 90-day challenge, that we help women to know that this is a process, that sometimes when you meet a man, you have to give him a period of time, whether that's a couple days, if it's like online, or a couple weeks, or a couple months. But there should be a deadline where, over a period of time, 90 days, that you're using the principles we teach you with magnetic feminine polarity, magnetic feminine communication. And I would add the caveat that, especially with using magnetic feminine communication, you have to have magnetic feminine conversations with your man several times during that 90 days. And then, detached from the outcome, you have to observe him and observe his behaviors. How does he show up after that? Is he showing care for your heart? Is he wanting to help you? Is he making changes on his own because he loves you and he wants to make you happy? Or is he continuing to engage in toxic traits and to not show care for your heart? Now that's a clear sign you have to move on. He's a broken man. He has something within him that he's not capable of it. Either he just doesn't have enough care for you, or more likely, he's broken in some way and he's just not capable of it. And that needs to be revealed over time. And once it's revealed, you need to be willing to walk away, because ultimately that's how you hold your power as a woman. And that's also how you value yourself and you show care for yourself and prioritize yourself, is that you're not willing to stay in a situation that doesn't serve you and that is damaging to your heart and is not good for you over time, assuming you're using everything else we teach you, because that's the caveat. Most women aren't respectful in their relationships. They aren't vulnerable in their relationships. They're not in their feminine. They don't know how to communicate properly. They don't speak up in the right moments. And that just doesn't allow them to actually bring out the best in their man. And so the man continues to be toxic. So Deanna said, he never wanted to get married, and I did. He accused me of cheating on him when I met up with a friend. He was broken and hasn't healed. I know I'm the queen. I know what I deserve. I would love to look into your program. Yeah, definitely, Deanna. That's a tough situation. And to remember to forgive yourself for all the things you may have done or not done in this situation, in this relationship, and also to forgive him. That if he is a broken man, which we all have wounds to some extent, he was probably doing the best he knew how. You were doing the best you knew how at the time. And forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It allows you to move on. It allows you to move on powerfully and to be free. You know, just like Jesus taught, that forgiveness allows you to be free and allows you to actually live a blessed life moving forward, and that you are also forgiven. You forgive yourself, and that you are forgiven for things you have done or not done that may have contributed to anything. And that's okay. That's part of the learning. That's part of being perfectly imperfect. And to move forward powerfully from that will allow you to have what you actually desire long term. So yes, hope that was helpful, Deanna, and to everyone else listening. Again, if you want to take this to the next level, you want to get our personalized coaching support and join our community of amazing women, learning these principles, mastering them every day, getting into incredible relationships every day, take our free quiz. That's where it all starts. Go to magnetizeyourman.com, or you can click the link in the description or the comments below or in our bio, depending on where you're watching this video. And we would love to support you with that and get you into this incredible marriage that you may want, incredible relationship, or just make sure your dating isn't as hard as it's been and you can actually have fun with it until you find that amazing man. Yeah. And Jenna said, absolutely get into the community and consume all the content. Yes, because that's part of it. Once you're in our community, once you're in our coaching, make sure you're actually utilizing it. Show up. And so many women in there, they are there every day. They are engaging. They're asking questions. They're using our tools, like our AI coaching tool, our coaching from our coaches and from me, and our videos in there. And it's super powerful, and it will transform your life if you let it. So much love. Take care. Hope you have an incredible rest of the day. And I'll talk to you again, our next powerful training very soon. Bye-bye.